This is the Ride1Up Roadster V3. It's hard to believe that this is already in its 3rd generation. In this full review, first I'll walk you through all the components, then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, see how the bike performs. So you're able to cruise well into the 20s, 23, 24. Let's see if we can hit 28 though. And finally, some third-person riding footage where I'll give you the pros and cons of this lightweight electric bike. But first, let's take a closer look. So a quick story, when I first received this electric bike, the only heads up I had was the motor that Ride1Up chose to put on it. And as I was tearing off the packaging on this electric bike, I continued to be surprised. And then Ride1Up shared the full specs with me, pricing, frame options, and I became even more impressed with what I saw. I'm curious as we go through all the components, if you feel similar, let me know down in the comments section. Now, firstly, if you're not familiar with Ride1Up, they are a direct-to-consumer e-bike brand, so no bike shops, online support, or phone support only. And while they do have a few different style of models, they're moped-style e-bikes, folding e-bikes, they're best known for commuter-style e-bikes. And so if you're in the market for a commuter-style e-bike, you should definitely check out their full lineup because they have something for everyone at a bunch of different price points. But the Roadster V3 is going to be particularly interesting if you're looking for something lightweight, capable of touring, gravel riding, and yes, of course, road riding. Now, I teased pricing. This bike is priced at an impressive $1295, and it's offered in 2 different versions. Either the 10-speed, yes, 10 speeds, we'll get into that in a little bit, or if you prefer a no-fuss electric bike, you don't want to worry about those gears, it's also offered in a belt drive. And if you do decide to pick up this bike or any other Ride1Up model, there's one thing you can do for me, and it costs you nothing. Just use our affiliate link down in the description before you make your purchase. Thank you so much for your support. Now, besides chain or belt, you also have 3 different frame options. The low step for riders 5'1" up to 5'10", size small for riders 5'3" to 5'8", and finally, what you see here, size large for riders 5'8" up to 6'3", and I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam. And of course, the standover height is going to differ between all the frame options, with the low step having the most accessible frame. There's 2 color options, Onyx Black, which looks like a dark blue in person, and mint, but more importantly, it weighs 39 pounds, so no problem bringing it up to your apartment, throwing it in the back of a vehicle. It's a bike that's going to be so much easier to travel with and of course handle. With that, let's dive into the components. So firstly, 2-piston Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. Those are paired with 160 millimeter rotors. The tires are 27.5 by 1.5 inches wide. They're Schwalbe G1 tires. They're a gravel tread and have a nice brown sidewall. Tires can be pumped up with a Schrader valve, and the front wheel is attached with a through axle. That's definitely preferred over a quick release. It's a rigid front fork, helps keep weight down, and yes, you get included fenders both in the front and rear, and they're made of metal. Ride1Up badge on the head tube, nice clean cabling that runs right into the stem. The front light attaches to the stem. It's 120 lux in the front, and in the rear it's 8 lux. It's not brake actuated, but is nicely integrated into the rear fender. The stem has a slight rise to it, and the handlebars, mostly straight, though do curve slightly toward the end. There's really nice grips. These are from Ergotech. They're ergonomic locking on both sides. Matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers, note no motor cutoffs. There's a bell on the right side. And hard to believe at this price point, we have a Shimano Dior trigger shifter, 10-speed. There's a small display on the left, power button on top, Ride1Up at boot up. In the top left, we have battery capacity with a percentage, speed front and center, trip, and then you have pedal assist, off, eco, tour, sport, and turbo. You can turn the lights on by holding pedal assist up. There's an indicator on the top right. Walk mode can be engaged by holding pedal assist down. indicator on the bottom of the screen. And check this out, the throttle is located beneath the pedal assist up and down buttons right here. Haven't seen this before yet, but I really like it. And you can get additional information by hitting the left button here. We have trip, odometer, average speed, max speed. Hitting it again, we get riding mode usage. And of course that outlines all of the pedal assist levels and how much you're using each. And then you have motor power, the average wattage usage, as well as the max output, and power statistics, voltage, and the wattage going to the motor. And then you get back to the main screen. And next, a rarity for a lightweight electric bike. Yes, I have keys because the battery is removable. As someone who lives in Wisconsin, I'm a big fan of that. I can bring in the battery for winter. Keyhole on the left side here. We'll turn it to the left and the battery pops out. And there is a button that you have to push for the battery to fully pop out. That's right here. Also nice that it removes from the side. This is a 36 volt, 9.8 amp hour battery, and the battery is UL certified. It's super lightweight and yeah, very narrow. There's a button at the end that gives you an idea of capacity, and it's even paint matched to match the frame so it blends in nicely. And out of all the battery packs, of course, it fits in our battery bag very easily. You could probably put 2, 3, maybe even 4 in this bag if you wanted to. It's a roll top bag that helps keep your battery safe while you're on the go or even stored at home. Available at shop.ebikeescape.com. Or maybe you want to pick up some other high quality e-bike accessories like our cell phone mount. It mounts perfectly to the handlebars and keeps even large phones like mine secure. Or maybe you just need to stay hydrated. Our water bottle cage would mount right here quite nicely, and it can hold large water bottles all the way up to a Nalgene water bottle. Simply turn to the correct size. And thank you if you decide to make a purchase. Let's put the battery back in. This end will go in first. Notice the notch here. We'll insert that first and simply snaps into place. And then you can remove the keys. For when the battery is in the bike, charger port located on this side, simply remove the rubber cover. For included accessories from Ride1Up, of course, you get a charger. This is a 2 amp charger, so about 5 hours to charge it from empty. And then you get a beanie for those that live in the north like I do. Looks like a extra stem spacer, maintenance grease, a couple wrenches, but more importantly, you get a nice quality hex set, which is something that most other e-bike brands don't include, at least nice ones. There's platform pedals with grip tape and a reflector, a rear-mounted kickstand, the hydraulic disc brake in the rear, mounting points here for a rear rack, advertising Ride1Up's Intuit-Drive technology. We'll see how the bike feels in a bit. And you get a Sella Royale saddle. This is the Vivo. It looks quite sleek. The motor is from a name brand. It's called Mevice. I've ridden one electric bike with it before and I absolutely loved it. This one is 500 watts with 50 newton meters of torque. We'll see how it does up our hill climb test. And there's the derailleur, Shimano Dior. Still can't believe it, on a $1,300 e-bike. Again, 10 speeds, 11 to 36 teeth. And up front is a 42 tooth front chainring. And on the single speed belt drive, it's 64 teeth up front and 20 teeth in the rear. There's a nice chainstay protector. And check out the cable routing, the derailleur cable right here, the hydraulic line on the other side, and they come out of the bottom of the frame right here. And on the other side, we have Ride1Up branding on the down tube. The seat post clamp is not a quick release. All right, those are all the components. I can't wait to see how this bike performs. It's a class 3 electric bike, so we should get up to 28. And of course, the throttle. Just how powerful is it? Let's find out. All right, let's see how the Roadster V3 performs. One quick note, I did change this to class 3 mode. It's a little bit difficult to see, but there's C3 in the top right-hand corner. And the way you do that is hold the left button when you're not moving. And then you can scroll down to ride mode and select class 3. It also offers the option to change it to class 2, which of course would be 20 miles per hour, whether you're using the throttle or pedal assist. Or if you prefer, class 1, and that will disable the throttle. And speaking of the throttle, that will be our first test. Throttle only up to 20 miles per hour. And with the pedal assist turned off, you still have access to the throttle, which I actually like because this is such a lightweight electric bike. Maybe you're riding it around without assist, but you want the throttle every once in a while. All right, GPS speed, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle only. 500-watt motor, eases you on very nicely. 8, 10, 11, 18, 19, and there's 20 miles per hour. So yes, it can hold you at 20 miles per hour with throttle alone. And just quickly, before we get to all the pedal assist levels, of course, you can pedal this electric bike if you run out of battery, or maybe you just want a little bit of an extra workout. Pretty easy to cruise at around 13 miles an hour. And of course, you have 10 gears, so you can pick how you want to pedal, what you want your cadence to be. All right, let's go into the eco level of pedal assist. Shift all the way down here. Just love the Dior shifter on this. It's still hard to believe at this price point. All right, here we go. Eco pedal assist. And remember, this is a torque sensor, which means the more power I put in, the more power I'm going to get from the motor. And since this is meant to be a smaller motor on this lightweight electric bike, in Eco, you just get a little bit of boost. I can't even hear the motor. In fact, in even higher levels of pedal assist, it's going to be difficult to hear it. But I do need to shift up. Let's go into second, third gear. Try to keep track of all the gears. Fourth gear. And nice and easy, I can cruise at 10 miles an hour. Just getting a little bit of assist. There's a wattage bar, if you will, on the right side of the display, and it was just barely showing. And now putting in a little bit more power. Let's go up to fifth gear. Still a cadence that I could do for a long period of time, cruising at 15 miles an hour. And yeah, very responsive. Shift up to sixth gear, 17 miles an hour. Maybe even seventh gear as we approach the 20 mile per hour mark. So doable to get to higher speeds, even in the eco level of pedal assist. And certainly putting in more effort, but not a ton. Let's go into tour, seventh gear here. And nice and easy, just spinning my legs, 14 miles an hour. And as we turn the corner, put in a little bit more power as we go into the wind a little bit here. 18, 19, and putting in more effort. There's 21, 22. I'm going to shift up to eighth gear. Legs would definitely feel it after a while with how much pressure I'm putting on my legs. All right, going up to sport mode. Very able to comfortably cruise at 16 miles an hour. 17. And yeah, just a little bit more power. I'm going to shift up. I believe that's ninth gear. Yep, ninth gear. 22, 23. And a little bit more effort from my legs, 25, 26. Shift up to 10th gear. All right, able to pretty easily cruise at 26, and we're still in sport. Let's go into boost mode. And nice and easy, just spinning my legs. Hopefully it comes across on camera. So you're able to cruise well into the 20s, 23, 24. Let's see if we can hit 28 though. 27. Ride1Up display reading 28, and there was 28 on the GPS as well. So gearing wise, perfect. No ghost pedaling. And what I like about some of these bikes is even though they don't have a super powerful motor, you can still cruise 24, 25 miles an hour without putting too much effort. All right, I'll get up to speed here quickly. We'll do a quick brake test. And I'm trying to prevent the wheels from locking up, so no problem with stopping power on these Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. All right, before we get to the hill climb test, now full disclosure, I am not a gravel rider except when I have to be for the channel. But if you aren't as familiar, these are gravel tires. And so for a path like this, it's just going to give you a little bit more increased confidence on some loose gravel than say a street tread or even road tires. They are still narrow, but I feel very comfortable on a path like this. You need to be careful, of course, on turns. That's the case with any electric bike, with any type of tire, really. So what's nice about this bike is it gives you the versatility. You can ride it on the road, of course, but if you want to jump on some crushed gravel like this, as we often do, because this is kind of a shortcut, it's away from the traffic, you can do it with a bike like this. So wanted to show that off. All right, with that, let's see how this bike does up our hill climb test. This feels wrong to do because it has a smaller battery, but it does have a throttle. So we are going to do a throttle only test up this large hill, and I am super curious to see how it does. This is the hill that I test out all the electric bikes that I review on the channel. The GoPro makes it look so much smaller than it is. So put up a picture as well as the specs, and I am a lighter weight rider, around 140, 145 pounds. And hill is starting now, 14 miles an hour, 13, 12, 10, 9, and the battery did read 98% at the start of the hill climb test, so we'll see what it is at the top. And we made it to the top. Minimum speed was 9 miles per hour. It didn't sound like the motor was struggling, so that's actually pretty impressive for how small this motor is. But this is a bike more than most that you want to pedal, so I'll go back down and we'll do the test again while pedaling. Eco level of pedal assist going to shift all the way down. All right, hill starting now, 7 miles an hour. First gear, and I could make it up the hill. Going to be a moderate amount of work, not something that's impossible, but I imagine most people want a little extra of assist, so let's see what tour feels like. Still going to stay in that first gear, and of course, if I put in more effort, I am going to get more power from the motor. Did get up to 8 miles an hour there. Let's go into sport. I imagine on steep hills, most people are going to want to use the highest level of pedal assist. This certainly feels easier than Eco, and the wattage bar is about at half, and cruising up at 8 miles an hour, but still putting in some effort. Let's go into boost. All right, feel some relief there. This would certainly be a lot easier. First gear, still only going 7 miles an hour, and we know the motor is actually more capable. So as is common with many of these torque sensor electric bikes, if you want more motor power, on hills especially, you need to put in more effort. So just a little bit more there, and the wattage bar jumped up immediately. Let's go into second gear, third, and now hitting 11 miles an hour. So yeah, boost mode would be my preference. Or if you prefer, one of the nice things, just use the throttle and you can still pedal alongside it. You just know that you're going to get the maximum power out of the motor, which is handy. All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage. I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Ride1Up Roadster V3. The Roadster V3 definitely lives up to its version 3 name with a ton of changes and improvements. After testing, I can confidently say it deserves a spot on our list of best lightweight e-bikes. First, let's talk about price. The Roadster has typically hovered around the $1,000 to $1,300 price point, and at that $1,300 price point, you're getting a lot of value. It's definitely justified. Let's start with aesthetics and sizing. First off, the bike looks fantastic. Hidden wires, smoothed out welds around the frame, and brown sidewall tires that complement the frame nicely. Plus, it comes in 3 sizes, including a low step, which is surprising at this price point. And of course, it prioritizes lightweight design at just 39 pounds. Now onto the electrical components. The Mi-Vice hub motor is a premium choice, and paired with a torque sensor, the riding experience is smooth. You can still cruise relatively easily above 20 miles per hour after switching to Class 3 mode, which is great. The color display, while small, packs a lot of information and fits the minimalist design. What's even better is the inclusion of a throttle, which is rare on lightweight e-bikes due to small battery sizes, and that throttle is integrated into the display and controls, which keeps things tidy. While the 9.8 amp hour battery is on the smaller side, it's nice to have a throttle when you need it. Just know if you're using throttle a lot, you're going to burn through the battery. Ride1Up notes a range of between 20 and 40 miles, which feels spot on. One of my favorite features of this lightweight e-bike is the easily removable battery. Many don't have removable batteries. It's perfect for storing indoors during the winter months. And also, if you happen to store your bike outside, it's nice to be able to bring the battery in for security purposes. As for the components, the Dior 10-speed is practically unheard of at this price point. It's a huge win. It'll definitely catch the eye of traditional cyclists who wouldn't be caught dead with an Altus or tourney derailleur. The Schwalbe name brand tires were another pleasant surprise, and of course they serve dual purpose for on-road riding or gravel riding. For those who value simplicity and low maintenance, there's an option for the belt drive too. The hydraulic disc brakes provide plenty of stopping power. I also like that Ride1Up decided to include these sleek fenders, and the 120 lux headlight ensures visibility on the road. The 8 lux rear light is a nice finishing touch in the rear. Now onto considerations. Like many lightweight e-bikes, there's no suspension, which helps keep the weight down. The motor is lower powered but quiet, and the battery is smaller. These are all common things on lightweight e-bikes. Also, the lack of motor cutoffs is something to be aware of, but it's not a huge concern on a lower powered e-bike. One last thing, I imagine some current Ride1Up Roadster owners may have Roadster V3 Envy because this model has everything the previous generation offered and more. If you're upgrading or buying your first Ride1Up e-bike, I have one favor to ask. Please use the link in the description before you make your purchase. It's free and really helps us out. Ride1Up has been in the e-bike game since 2018, and as a direct-to-consumer brand, they keep prices down. If you're on the fence though, I'd encourage you to just give them a call. They really deliver on value no matter what model you choose. I'd love to hear from those just getting into e-bikes and from current Ride1Up owners. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comment section. Are you excited about the new Roadster V3? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.